What's going on, guys? Hey, I wanted to come back to you. I wanted to bring you a debate between two men on Fox Soul about the Shiloh Hendricks case. That's the white woman that called a black kid the N-word. But I want you guys to hear this debate because this debate, I think is very representative of America right now. Watch.
Face Off on Fox Soul starts right now.
You call him a child? Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call him a Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again? Okay. All right, that's what you say.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
Charles, this is a case that the entire country is talking about. White woman at a playground with a child. A little 5-year-old autistic black child is there. She accuses the black child of going through her child's things and starts yelling and calling the black child the N-word over and over. A bystander is there, man also of color, and he records this white woman. And she's very bold about saying the N-word and would not apologize, very unapologetic. And then she goes on to say it again when the man says, I dare you to say it again. She says it over again 3 times. What's shocking and horrifying beyond just her conduct toward a black child, special needs child, is that Americans and those across this country, and maybe a few outside of it, raised $600,000 for her fund to support her and her family. She was not charged with a crime yet.
Well, what crime do you think she should be
Wait
charged
1 second. I'm not saying that. But that could be child abuse. But she was not charged with a crime, but raised $600,000. What does that money mean to black people? What message is being sent to black people? What it's saying to black people is that America in 2025 is no better than our fathers were back in 1965. You got that much money being raised for a white woman using such racial hate toward a 5-year-old child that says to black people, we have no friends in this country but God and ourselves. That is a message to other white people also, that whatever you do to black people, we got your back. Whatever you do to black people, to mistreat them, to violate them, even shoot them or kill them, we will raise hundreds of thousands, if not millions, to support you. What in the hell did that white woman do to deserve $600,000 being donated to her? Because white parents don't see black children like they see their own children. It ain't no way in the hell in a country like this in 2025, she should have raised $1,000, less known $600,000 for mistreating a black child.
Now, guys, man, he does respond. He responds in a very appropriate way by saying, wait a minute, what message are white people sending to black people if they raise $600,000 for her? Well, gee, I don't know. What kind of message is black people sending to white people when they raise right about that same amount of money for a black kid that stabbed and unalived a white kid that brought a weapon to a track meet and again unalived him? There's no self-defense there. There's no... Again, what kind of message are you sending? You know, here's the thing, man. In the world today, it has become worse to say the N-word than it is to actually stab and kill and unalive somebody. I mean, think about it for a minute.
Be real, because just what was it, 2 weeks ago, you were applauding the GiveSendGo GoFundMe knockoff for raising a similar amount of money for an African American kid that, or young adult, that stabbed someone else in the chest and killed them. And you were also sitting there calling the victim's twin brother a racist. You made up this lie.
I called him a liar.
No, you called him a racist.
I called him a liar and a bully.
Okay, but you also called him a racist. It's just a kid that just held his brother while he died, and you made it all up.
Who walked up bullying along with his brother.
He didn't. There's no testimony.
Walked up intimidating along with his brother.
I appreciate that you're sticking to your lie, but you're still lying. Okay, that was a murder. It was horrible, and all the people that gave money to that kid are equally disgusting. Here, this was a clearly racist scumbag woman. Anyone that's going to use, whether it's a racial pejorative or just cuss words and ugly words at a child, whether she perceived the child as autistic or not, for taking something out of a diaper bag, is a disgusting pig of a person. She's an absolute scumbag. A bad word, however, is not as evil or scummy as a murder, right? But they're both awful, right? Now you talk about, and the Rochester, this is Rochester, Minnesota, they've said, hey, we've conducted an investigation. We've referred it to the city attorney's office for charges. This is not a criminal charges issue, right? It is somebody saying ugly things, right? It is protected against governmental reaction under the First Amendment, the free speech clause of the First Amendment. You're free to say horrible stuff, right? It shouldn't be a crime. We don't need thought or word police, but equally, we should all be disgusted with her. We should be disgusted with her, and we should be disgusted with the people that gave her money, just like we should be disgusted by the people that applauded Carmelo Anthony. But here we are, you sit over there and you say that this is somehow indicative of all of white America, because there is some scummy white Americans, and probably a handful of people of color, that gave her money. But it doesn't. It speaks to the individuals, much like her behavior speaks to her individually, much like Carmelo.
I guess I agree with Big Mike or whatever his name is for the most part, but I disagree with them when it comes to was the girl racist or not. I don't think she was. I really don't. Again, I'm not condoning what she said. All I'm doing is saying, hey, look, she was mad. And people, they use words when they're mad. They say things that are offensive, mean. Why? Because they're mad. Because they're trying to get to you. And again, you can tell that's what she was doing. Now, in no way do I think that in itself makes her racist. Again, I don't think there are any real racist people, white or black. I think they're angry, bitter people that they again use whatever to justify what they had to say. And again, man, I'm not condoning what she said, nor am I saying anything against it. It was just a word. And depending on who said it, again, if she were a black woman and she got mad at a black kid and said the word, nobody would raise an eyebrow.
Applauded it and then lied on it like you. It speaks to your lack of character.
No, what it speaks to is that when the
people.
murderers of Emmett Till were charged.
Okay.
They raised tens of thousands for those cold-blooded killers of Emmett Till. When the murderer of Medgar Evers was arrested and captured, he raised tens of thousands of dollars in the 1960s. When the killers the beaters of Rodney King, those cops in 1992 who beat the hell out of Rodney King, they raised almost $1 million for their defense. When Michael Brown's killer right here in America, around the same time, several years back now, maybe 10 10 years. He raised $1 million for his defense. George Zimmerman raised over $1 million for killing Trayvon Martin. Charles, we as black people have witnessed over and over and over when some white person murders a black person, no matter the circumstances, they're raising tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars from white folks in America donating to them. And now in 2025, that video is straight up. Everybody can see that. What does it say about the progress in this nation? What does it say about the state of this nation? Carmelo Anthony, his fundraising was a reaction to all of those white people who've killed black people and raised hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in their defense fund. His fundraising was a reaction and an outcry from black people that enough is enough.
That's what he's doing. You know, again, man, going all the way back to Emmett Till. Again, man, if it was so long ago, again, there's a lot of confusion around what even happened. You know, I mean, fully. When it comes to Medgar Evers, again, it happened, over 60 years ago? And again, he left out that almost 40 years ago, the case was reopened. And they found a man guilty, Byron D. LeBeckwith, or whatever his name was, for killing Medgar Evers. So again, there was that, but there's no mention of that. When it comes to Rodney King, again, Rodney King, you know, the vast majority of the public does not realize Rodney King was on drugs. He was, again, nothing was fazing him. Nothing. I'm not justifying the cops hitting him. I don't know. I truly don't know. But again, majority of people, they don't understand what kind of state he was in. When it comes to Michael Brown was a thug. He was a big 6'4", 260-pound, whatever thug. Again, that assaulted an employee of a store, of a convenience store. Then he left. It was called in. A cop that heard that over the radio saw Michael Brown walking down the street, told Michael Brown to come here. Michael Brown initially refused to acknowledge the cop. Then he turned around and rushed the cop. Again, there was no murder. No murder at all. As a matter of fact, there would have been a murder if the cop, again, would have lost the fight with Michael Brown. If Michael Brown would have gained the upper hand, I guarantee you there would have been a murder. And nobody would have cared. Because again, the cop was white and there was a cop. Trayvon Martin. First of all, George Zimmerman was Latino, not white. You gotta get this straight. Number two, again, the cops, the dispatcher on the phone with George Zimmerman told him to back off. But George Zimmerman didn't have to. Again, he could keep following Trayvon, which he did. Trayvon turned and attacked George Zimmerman. He was the one to attack. And, you know, and George Zimmerman, under the stand your ground law in Florida, pulled his pistol out and shot him. That kind of stuff happens. But again, it wasn't easy when Barack Obama got there and said, if I had a son, he would get Trayvon. Again, same sort of thing. It's an appeal to emotion. That's what it is. But again, I think what needs to happen right now is a real come to Jesus moment for the black community. Again, they got to realize not all, but a lot are 100% evil. Now, I'm not saying the white people are much better, but again, the majority of violent crime is committed by 13% of the U.S. population, black people. Again, we got to be honest about that stuff. We also got to be honest, man, that you're much more likely, if you're white, to be attacked by a black person than you are the other way around. Again, because the criminal output from the black community is astounding. It truly is. There is a big problem there. And get people to have a hard time being honest. But hey guys, if you would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. You son of a